2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. Yes, we are ready. We're here with Denzel Washington, talking about, among other things, a new movie called For Queen and Country, which I saw the film, and I was very impressed with it, but I also found it very intense. What do you think it is that makes this film so heavy, so intense?
Well, I think it doesn't pull punches. It doesn't. It is what it is, and also I think because it's a well-written plot. Once the plot gets going, it just draws you in, and it tightens, and you're waiting to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting. Your character in the movie is in a lot of emotional turmoil, and you managed to paint that picture of that character without a lot of outward motion, a lot of outward acting. It all seems to be very internal with you, very subtle. How do you do that? Is that on purpose?
How do I do it? I don't know. Not that I could say in a sentence, but thank you. I think that's just what that character called for. I mean, I didn't make a decision beforehand to just say I'm only going to internalize it.
Was it done in the directing? Did the director say to you, now, be very subtle and just show this in your face and don't act it out, or was it a decision that you made?
A combination, I'd imagine, from depending upon the scene. I imagine sometimes he said, well, let's bring it down a little, or maybe I said, I think it should be further down, or whatever.
Yeah. The role that you played in Cry Freedom, which you were nominated for an Oscar for, had some of that same intensity. It was a very intense role in a very intense situation. Did you come at the roles in a similar way or with a different feel?
No, totally different. I mean, I didn't really see any similarities. I mean, Stephen Biko is very bright, very intelligent. I think Ruben is more of just a working class guy who's what I call a regular guy who's just trying to, make his way, and he's affected more by things around him. His whole problem was his inability to affect things around him, whereas Stephen Biko was quite effective in changing things around him.
Could you make a choice as to which one you enjoyed more playing the role of?
Well, my favorite role is always the one I haven't done yet, so no, I never say which one I like the most.
Were you surprised when you received a nomination for the Oscar Award for Cry Freedom?
I was happy. I was hopeful that it was going to happen because I had, been told by a lot of people that I would be nominated, and it was going to be a crushing blow if that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So it was a good surprise. And
was it a crushing blow when you actually didn't receive the award?
No. What actually happened was Sean Connery, who won, presented the first award. So he came out to present the first award and got a 3-minute standing ovation. So from that point, I said, well, I don't think there's much to worry about. I got a feeling I know who's going to win. So.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have perhaps hope for future?
Oh, of course.
Future meetings with the Oscar?
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I sat next to Bertolucci, who won a few. Was it Bertolucci? Am I saying the right name? For The Last Emperor.
I think so.
Yeah, Bertolucci, right? I'm not sure. Anyway.
If you're not, we can edit it out.
Anyway, I sat next to the director of
The Last Emperor.
Bertolucci. Is it Bertolucci?
That sounds familiar, but I don't know. But for
I
both
don't
of
know.
our
I
sakes,
can't think
we'll
right
edit
now.
this one out.
But anyway, I sat next to his wife, and they won, needless to say, a lot of Oscars for The Last Emperor. So he was stacking them up underneath his seat. So I asked his wife, I said, could I just, pick one up and see how it feels? And I said, all right. She says, how do you like it? I said, I'm just practicing. I'm getting ready. So sooner or later, I'll get my own opportunity.
So at least you know what they feel like, so you'll be prepared for that time. When and if you actually do receive an Oscar, would you rather have received it for a dramatic role, like Cry Freedom and for Queen and Country, or would you rather receive it for a comedy, like the movie that you're working on right now?
I could care less. I don't care what it's for.
What do you enjoy working on more, a comedy or a drama?
I'm working on a comedy right now with Bob Hoskins, and I'm enjoying that immensely. I mean, I've enjoyed each part for a different reason. I don't have one preference over the other.
Yeah. is it a different feeling? Do you feel different in the process of making a comedy versus making a drama?
Well, I think, and I don't know a lot about comedy, but I think you can't go about it as if it's a comedy. In this case, I think in this film, the humor comes from the reality. So it's not like we're doing spit takes and tripping and falling. You know, we're not like, you know, that kind of stuff. It's not broad.
Now that's the name of the movie you're shooting now?
Heart Condition.
Heart Condition, great. Back to For Queen and Country for a minute here. Being as sort of, as we said, intense, kind of a seething, dramatic, moody picture, do you think that that will appeal to all audiences or only certain elements of the audience?
I think that it may. I think it will appeal to all audiences because it's a good story. I don't know if you know, some people go to the movie strictly to escape, and the director of this film, he looks at the film as a Western. The lonely guy who comes back to town, who doesn't fit in, you know, to the town. Things have changed, you know. There's the girl, there's the bad influence with the one guy and the good influence of the other guy,
yeah.
you know, so.
Kind of a classic tale of good and evil.
Exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. No, it was shot in England, and it's basically a British film. How did they end up with you, an all-American actor?
Good question. I like to think it was because I was the best one for the part. I know that there were a lot of factors that went into the decision to use me for the part, and I was glad to get the part. I know that some actors in England were upset, you know, with so few roles that, you know, finally a really good role comes along and they give it to an American. I said, hey, you know, Michael Caine, and the guy I'm working with now, Bob Hoskins, you know, he's probably took somebody's part. You know,
yeah.
Somewhere out there's an angry American going, he took my part.
There's a quota now on actors from other countries, right? In For Queen and Country, you had a very distinct English accent. Cry for Freedom, you had South African. The Mighty Quinn, what, you were Jamaican. Is this difficult? How do you learn all these accents for the films?
Well, what I'm doing is I'm working my way back to the States. Yeah, I was in Africa first, then I was in London, then Jamaica. Then
Now
I just did a picture called Glory, which took place in Georgia. I worked my way back up. Now I'm swung across the country to Los Angeles. So
the movie you're shooting now, you're an LA guy?
Yeah. Beverly Hills
Is that easier?
lawyer.
Is that easier to do yourself?
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah.
So how do you go about training for these different accents?
There's no set way to do it, you know. I mean, with Cry Freedom, it was just fear. It's like, oh no, I better get something going here. And once I got to Africa, it was a lot easier.
As was the case. To people?
Yeah, and talking with my driver every morning on the way to the location, and same thing with For Queen and Country. Just being around the people, osmosis.
Yeah, the film company doesn't give you any coaches, voice coaches, anything?
Well, one of the writers was on the set all the time, and he kind of acted as a monitor. He would wear headphones on every take, and, you know, between takes he'd say, well, you need to drop the certain sounds, like for example, Americans, we say long, L-O-N-G, and they say long. Sort of a short like thing like that, you know, like it's all a bit shorter. Anyway, it's terrible actually, but
that's good.
Yeah, so
Cockney,
he stayed on top of it. Yeah, he stayed on top of me, and
does that make the acting double difficult?
Yeah, it's triple difficult because you feel like the odd man out. I mean, I'm the only one there who's not in his own country and comfortable with the accent, so it was quite intimidating.
In this particular role, though, you sort of were supposed to be the man who felt out of place, though.
Exactly, and as we found out, it was actually perfect.
Yeah.
Because that quality was there naturally. I was the one out of place.
You looked alienated, and you felt alienated, right? Yeah. You shot this on the streets of English ghettos. Is that correct? Housing projects. Did that add to the mood of the film, being actually on those locations? Yes,
it made everybody work with hard hats on. We had some, you know, like incidences, a couple of bottle throwing incidences and different things. But for the most part, it enhanced the picture. I mean, we were in the actual places and we shot most of the film on location, so it was a great help.
Interesting. On a final note, What kind of a message or impact do you think that people would get from this film or should get from the film?
Well, the one thing I would say is to, you know, have respect for the people that protect your country. Have respect for the soldiers. You know, embrace them. Understand what their job is, which is to protect all of us, and put them up on the pedestal where they belong. I mean, you know, in this society, a lot of times we put the emphasis on, you know, entertainers or athletes, and it's very important too. But the job that our armed services do in protecting us and being prepared to do that is one of the most important jobs in the world, so we should give them respect.
Great. And did you learn that from the film?
Yeah.
Is that something that you brought
That's
out?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrific. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We're all done for now.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.